Hello, in this video I just want to briefly cover the links to the QCAA Senior Science syllabus documents to show you where to have a look at these documents so that you can relate these documents to assignment 1, which is the project proposal. So when you come into week 1 tutorial folder in learning resources, there's this link here. If we click on that, it'll open up the current QCAA syllabus documents. And so I'm going to pick the biology one here, and it'll open up as a PDF document. Now, if we go down into this document, each one of these documents is slightly different. So if you're in earth sciences, chemistry, physics, and so on, they're all slightly different in terms of the language and the layout of the document. So you have to have a look at each one on its individual merits. So the area we're looking at is assessment categories, in this case for biology. And this first part explains the different forms of assessment, like ERTs, EIs, and written tasks and so on, and how these should be structured. I'm not so worried about this first section because we're not actually writing an assessment instrument, but you may want to have a look at those to get a feel for what sorts of science they include. As you'll see, they don't really define any particular form of science inquiry. They mention things such as primary and secondary data. They mention the word experiment, but at no stage do they define what an experiment is. So when we come down into the document, each of these documents has got a section on exit criteria. So you'll see here for biology, we have understanding biology, investigating biology, and on the next page, evaluating biological issues. And this is the criteria that students have to meet at the end of, or by the end of year 12. And it is therefore forms the marking criteria throughout years 11 and 12. So this is important to have a look at when you're designing science inquiry, because you need to be able to design inquiry so that it directs students so that they can achieve or have an opportunity of achieving the requirements on the A standard. So understanding biology generally relates to a literature review component and probably the discussion element of a report. So it's about making links and relating ideas and concepts and applying knowledge, which is where you then bring this understanding knowledge into the discussion side of an assignment report. Investigating biology includes things such as formulating justified researchable questions, designing, modifying, and implementing investigations. So modifying means not just doing a single run of a particular scientific method, but modifying methods as you go through this process. So recognizing that that science doesn't arrive at the correct answer on the first occasion. It requires trial and error, and that means modifying methods and design. Collecting and organising data, identifying trends in interrelationships, interpreting and critically analysing results with links to theoretical concepts to draw conclusions. So once you've looked at collecting and organising data, looking at trends in interrelationships, then linking that back to the literature to enable interpretation and critical analysis of results in relation to what theory is currently known. And evaluating the design of the investigation, reflecting on the adequacy of the data collected, and proposing refinements for future research. So as you'll see, these elements are quite relevant when you're planning your science inquiry, and what I need to see is that you've referred to these and that they're reflected in your design. Evaluating biological issues can actually not necessarily be involved in a science inquiry task. However, it tends to be brought in year 12 tasks and left out in year 11 because it's an extra step in the evaluation process. So if you find that in year 11 you're getting your students to focus on these exit criteria, and you make it more complex by bringing this final exit criteria into science inquiry projects in Year 12. But briefly, they involve gathering, critically analysing, evaluating information and data from a variety of sources, from primary sources, that is data students create themselves, and secondary sources, that is data they collect from, say, the internet or what other sources they find. Integrating the information and data and making justified and responsible decisions, and considering alternatives and predictions relevant in the past, present, and future, in this case, biological contexts. When you go through into your particular science specialty, you will find that they are not all the same as the biology in terms of wording, so you need to have a look at your particular area and become familiar with that. So when I refer to, in your marking criteria for assignment 1, I refer to the QCAA, and in assignment 2 as well. If I refer to the senior syllabus document, this is the section of the document that I'm talking about, this exit criteria within your syllabus document.